And today's Dear Meg question, I have it written down, is this. Dear Meg, do you have any advice for teens starting to date? I'm going to be 16 this coming year and able to date. What should I look for in a future spouse? I loved this question so much because I think it just represents the age range of people who listen to this podcast. I thought it was really sweet. I think the majority of people who listen are, I want to say, I just was looking at the statistic for my own podcast. I want to say it was like 24 to like 30-ish kind of age range, but there is huge amounts too who are older than that and who are younger than that who listen to this podcast. And I'm just so thankful that like all of these different groups of people in different stages of life find encouragement in this space. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that this is an encouragement to you. All right, but let's dive in. Advice for teens starting to date and what should I look for in a future spouse? I think I have a hot take that I'm not very stringent on, but it's just a thought that I have right now. And I just heard it on another podcast. And it's also, I think, from my own upbringing, like my parents' opinion on this. So I'm kind of wishy-washy on this idea. From one perspective, I know a number of couples who have started dating in high school and ended up getting married, which is so awesome. And I think that's so sweet. My husband and I, we didn't date in high school, but we did meet in high school. We went to our school's prom together, had crushes on each other. We didn't start dating until after college, but yeah, so I think it is sweet. Like you really can meet, date, and marry the person that you met in high school and like fulfill those like, I don't know, high school sweetheart dreams. It can be really sweet and I am obsessed with it. Some of our best friends are high school sweethearts and I think that's so awesome. My one thing that I would say of caution is I guess I would just say is to be really like intentional about dating, because I think dating should be, this is my opinion, this is not Bible truth. There are other amazing Christians with different opinions. I'm going to put that caveat out there as well. But I think dating should really be for the intention of marriage. And I think you think that too, because you're asking like, what should I look for in a future spouse, which is so, so, so awesome. And I think a lot of times starting dating younger opens up the door sometimes to maybe more heartbreak than it does having the intention of finding a spouse with this person per se. Again, not to say that it can't happen. I know a number of couples who dated in high school are high school sweethearts and are happily married and like having kids and pregnant and all these things. Like it's so sweet. But I think for a lot of people, there are a lot of heartbreak situations that happen when they start dating in high school. And so I recently heard this on a podcast where basically they were saying like, if you can't really see yourself getting married in the next couple of years, then maybe, and this applies no matter what age you are, like let's say you're just not in a place where you're saying like, all right, I can't really get married in the couple of years, like I'm not maybe emotionally there, mentally there, spiritually there, whatever it is, then really you shouldn't be dating at this point. Because that is the intention of dating, is to be able to marry this person and really like avoid heartbreak, I think. Now, like heartbreak is not always avoidable for sure. And I think that heartbreak happens at any age, whatever age. I didn't date in high school and there's still like, exes and things like that. But I think it just can open up a tricky can of worms when it comes with dating at an age when you can't really get married yet. So that's one thing that I will say. Outside of that, if you're like, I hear you, but I feel like I'm mature enough, which is awesome, and I'm going to start dating, that's awesome. And my encouragement to you would be, one, like be really intentional with physical boundaries. Especially let's say that this person that you start dating at 16 is somebody that you do end up marrying outside of college or something like that at the age of 22, 23, then you are potentially dating for like 6 or 7 years. And it can be really hard to remain pure physically in the Lord for that amount of time. And so I would just encourage you to be really cautious with physical boundaries and really open with maybe friends or mentors or things that you trust in that area. Another encouragement I have would be, and this was part of your question too, is really like looking for people that could be like a potential future spouse. And I think some things that could fall under that are, one is that he loves the Lord so much. Another thing is that he treats you really, really well. And I know friends too, where part of their story is like they dated this person in high school. This person was like the cool guy, and he just didn't really treat them well. And it's like you really don't have to, and you shouldn't settle for that at all. Like, this person should really treat you well. So loves the Lord, treats you really well. And I think too, like, as part of loving the Lord, I think that's something that, just diving into that a little bit more, it's not just like, oh, they like go to church with me on Sundays. Like, no, they have their own personal relationship with the Lord, where they're also in tune with the Spirit, where they're obeying God, where they are putting sin before him, where they are spending time with him. They have their own Bible reading time. They're praying for you. You're praying for them, like all of these different things. Like, I would really set your standards high in this area. Because this is the person that you're going to be walking through life with, like your whole life. Right now too, with like Donnie, like we're going to be raising at least like this little baby boy together, and you're walking through life with this person. And so you want to be sure that like the person that you are attaching yourself to is somebody that is also filled with the Holy Spirit, and is somebody that is also aiming to please the Lord and is actively doing that. Because again, like they're your person for life, like as a spouse. And so not that you have to already be thinking like, okay, this person's really cute. Am I going to marry him? I don't know. You don't have to know if you're going to marry this person, but it is good to look for these different qualities of like, okay, I want my future spouse to have this, this, and this. So the person that I'm dating should have this, this, and this. Whether or not I know that they're going to be my future spouse, which you probably won't for a little while, but making sure that they have those specific qualities. There are so many that I've talked about before. I know we've done Q&As with my husband, Donnie, before on this, so maybe I'll link those in the show notes as well. I'm kind of blinking right now, but the top priority is that he loves the Lord in his own relationship with the Lord, and two, that he like treats you really good and don't settle for any less in either of those areas. Again, I would say be cautious in this area, but I totally get if you feel like, you know what, I'm mature, and like maybe specifically in this situation, like I have my parents go ahead. That's awesome. And I, again, know so many people who like marry their high school sweethearts, and I hope and pray that that is the case for you, because it's really exciting and really sweet. And it's such a fun experience to like start dating and all of that. So I hope that whatever you decide to do, that it's just filled with such peace and wisdom in the Lord, and that the Lord is the one who is leading you in it, and that there's just so much goodness that comes out of this in whatever you decide to do. But that would be my encouragement to you. I hope that was encouraging. Friends, thank you so much for listening to the She Lives Purposefully podcast. I am so thankful that you're here, and I can't wait to chat with you again next Thursday. Friend, I love you. Let's live for Jesus and live purposefully.